thought, take the power away from the people who are trying to hurt you, basically. And that's the way to do it. By the way, we are live already. So tonight we're going to be talking about this whole shit that's going on. There's a new term in town called cancel pigs. I don't know if I'm 100%. I used it in the thumbnail and the title, but I don't know if I'm 100% okay with dehumanizing the enemy. You know, like that. It's very much Hotel Rwanda Nazi-ish to me.
On the other hand, pigs are more equal.
Yeah.
I can't call him a pig because pigs give us bacon, and these guys don't give anything we want.
Yeah,
I think these guys might be dumber than pigs because pigs are actually incredibly smart
the same
animals.
people.
Yep. They roll around in dirt and eat shit. So.
Well, they're full of it anyway.
These
are the same, ladies and gentlemen. These are the same ladies and gentlemen who have been screwing around with everybody, talking about like they've been here for in decades and they haven't. And for the ones that have been around for decades, the CB Cebulskis, the Tom Brevorts, and so forth, even Jim Lee, have seemed to forgotten what quality has been or quality is in comics. Jim Lee, being a freaking standard of quality in comics, can't recognize good art. How the can somebody who used to draw that awesome X-Men, who was the artist of Hush, look at freaking Fire and Ice and say that needs to be published?
Oh, I think he knows the difference. I just don't think he cares.
And that's a big problem too. Now we're of course being put down for caring. Where it's just
and he's just one voice in multiple. Like it's more or less.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at Neil Gaiman. He apparently can't tell the difference between what he did in the 80s and early 90s and what he's doing now, because apparently Sandman was always SJW, don't you know?
Oh,
and
God.
yeah, no, I don't know, and that's my favorite comic of all time. So.
I don't
Kick
think
rocks,
Sandman would give a damn about politics, but that's just me.
It's also what Jeff Thorne said. Like sometimes it's not the creators who decide. It's more of who you can find, who you can get, and availability, stuff like that determines who's on a book. Like he wanted Dexter Soy to stay on, but Dexter became unavailable, and like editorial just passed him on.
Dark Admiral's in the house. Undead Quinn, what's up, guys? How you doing? We're going to be going in on this whole cancel pig. The big one, however, seems to be the that comic book journalist. Her name's Heidi McDonald, and she went off. I actually found this out by Richard. He did a video, and I'm reading this. I'm like, holy crap! It's starting. It's all back. We're back, baby. We're cool again. It's like I walked into the YouTube equivalent of Hot Topic and saw all my shit on the wall here. Come on, guys.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah, it's something, man. Yeah, I know, right? That's exactly how I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're cool again.
It's like
it is the song that doesn't end.
By the way, the Hot Topic reference, if you guys, you might not know because it's a mall store. In 2000s, it started selling 1980s rock and roll and movie shirts. Right? It's like right now. Everything that kids today love is freaking the same thing that I grew up with.
Did you know the two stores that are still surviving the malls is Spencer's?
Yeah,
and
that's the same kind.
Yeah, FYE.
Yeah. Okay, so this chick Heidi McDonald says, I have a thought experiment for you. If imagine if a retailer made a video about a comic that they really loved and that they wished more and more people would buy, and that showed passion, and would you share it? And by the way, I know somebody ended up putting this in there, but of course, the first thing that would come to mind is Move the Needle, or the thousands upon thousands of hours of videos on channels like my own, where we actually do talk about comic books we love. These idiots think the only thing that ever happens on Twitter. This particular idiot, anyway. If you don't post it right now on Twitter, it never happened. Forget about the fact that this has been going on for a long, long time. 8 years now.
Because you see, if the aristocrats don't know about it, then clearly it couldn't be a thing.
Yeah.
That's the issue. The valid people haven't noticed, so it doesn't exist.
Say again, Jake?
And obviously Heidi's taking a shot at Glenn O'Leary from Comic Book Palace here. And I can tell you, I've been watching Comic Book Palace off and on for the past 5 or 6 years, and he raves about every book he loves, and he trashes every book he hates, which is exactly what I think a comic book shop owner should do. He's a fan, you know. So
as the old saying goes, you live by the sword, you die by the sword, which means, and this is the quintessential lesson that none of these internet aristocrats ever want to learn, fandom is a double-edged sword. It means you will thrive when the fandom likes you, and you will suffer when the fandom is pissed at you. Yep. You can't have one without the other, simply put.
I want to point out that first one, Michael Yao. I looked up like, is that Michelle Yao?
Yeah, I know. That's what I did. Michelle Yao replied. Some research studies have shown that more people are likely to share bad experiences than good ones. And this is absolutely a true fact about YouTube, is that if I put out a positive video and a negative video, that negative video is going to do way more than the positive. That's not to say there aren't positive channels. There are, and I wish I could find the formula to make those work, but unfortunately it doesn't.
It's also, you know, you never notice the 364 days where the train runs smoothly. You only notice the one day when the train running not smoothly makes you late.
Well, and it's also a little bit different with comic shop owners. I mean, people are going in there, they want to hear about positive things because they're about to spend their money. So they want to buy something that's going to be good. It's a little different with videos here on YouTube.
So the thing is and I don't know if it's here or what, like I said, somebody mentioned Move the Needle. Now, for those of you who don't know, Move the Needle was something that Richard got from one of his viewers, and he decided, okay, well, that sounds good. What we'll do is when you buy a comic, and I think this would be a great idea to start back up, but when you buy a comic book from the comic shop, you hashtag maybe the people who made the comic, or you hashtag Move the Needle, and then at people like Marvel Comics, CB Cebulski, maybe if it's an independent, the artist and writer, let them know that people are actually buying the comics, that these are the comics that we're buying. And
it was basically an attempt to encourage the things we liked rather than just poo-pooing the things we didn't.
Two things happened. The first of all is Heidi McDonald and her like, and I'm literally saying she and others would immediately call it out. It's Nazism, it's racism, it's all of this. The reason and she even said in her response that the reason why it didn't work was because it was built out of hate. Bullshit. They made it that way. They decided that it couldn't be anything other than that. They are so racist, so hateful, such bigots.
And that is why, and that is to go back to your point, that is why we have no issues calling them cancel pigs.
The valid people have called you evil, so if you continue existing, that means you're evil by definition, don't you know?
But there's a second thing, and this is very important. This is very important because on the other side, after EVS took over Comicsgate and turned it into exactly what it wasn't meant for, the voice of the comic book reader does not count with modern day Comicsgate. It is happy horseshit when he says it is. It is about the people who make the comics. And when Move the Needle was still going, you would have other people who bought into Ethan's bullshit go, well, you're reading the wrong books. That's not the fucking point.
Yeah, we have to have a united front because this is a war, don't you know?
The Move the Needle was to show what you liked. There were no wrong books. I saw this because somebody posted that they were buying Mags Visaggio. She did a book about what was it?
Dazzler?
No, it wasn't. It was an independent comic book or like a Vertigo book or something like that.
It's probably her Kim and Kim book.
Say again?
It was probably her Kim and Kim book.
No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. But the thing is it wasn't bad. When I saw that person, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I read that.
Jenny Hicks.
Not horrible. Say no, it wasn't Jenny Hex.
No,
It was, but trust me, it's out there. It existed.
yes.
But the thing is the people, they jumped on him like, oh no, you're not supposed to read that one. You're not. Mags is the enemy. No, it's supposed.
How dare you cross party lines?
Yeah, it's supposed to show what you like, and there is no wrong answer to that. And yes, I Richard mentioned it, and very much so. They could have flooded the market if they had the people. They could have flooded the whole hashtag with hashtag I bought Mags Visaggio's new book, or don't you love the woke books here and the woke books there, here woke, there woke, and all of that. It really could have, but the thing is it ended up just being misused by the extreme sides of either argument.
Death by infighting.
Well, actually, I think they always, I mentioned yesterday, I think it was yesterday, the last live stream, that there seems to be in their mind no right wing, just an alt-right or an extreme right. I think
because
Dalton,
left equals correct.
Dalton, you are one of the last classical liberals that I know. Even my family has gone more left than liberal. I think I'm kind of classical liberal, more so than even a staunch conservative. I'm a Trump supporter, but I'm more a classical liberal.
Because the truth is, both sides of the political spectrum in this country, i.e. America, were founded during the Enlightenment and therefore are founded on classical liberalism. It's just two different flavors of classical liberalism that they split from.
Yeah.
Enlightenment,
Okay.
man. That sounds like a hippie cult right there.
I really wish nobody had opened the Pandora's box that was Tumblr, says Dark Admiral. Anyone from the Whisper Networks now wants to play the cry bully. They have all the time. That is their shit. They play the cry bully. I've always liked that term. Oh my gosh, we're the victims, so you must kill him. Exaggerating, but yes. I used to post my buys with the hashtag Move the Needle back when I was dropping quite a bit weekly. I can't do it. I've got a stack of comics waiting for me, and beyond the facsimiles, excuse me, I've been mispronouncing that for decades. I just, no. Why am I going to spend $40 on a pile of 10 comics when I look over and I see a good Golden Age or Silver Age? It might not be in the best shape, but it's $40. The Demon #1 or 10 copies of Detective Comics. Oh no, I'm sorry. 8, because it's $5 each.
Well,
let alone the omnibuses you can get of different things, that you can get basically 100 comics in an omnibus for about $40.
What were you saying now?
I was gonna say, well then, I mean, cancel your pull list or dramatically cut it back to just the 2 or 3 or 4.
It really is like that.
Really like.
I've got a pull list.
I mean, that helps the store owner too, because he's not sitting on a bunch of inventory.
Yeah, they're waiting for me to buy books from months ago that's been in there.
Yeah.
I get Justice Society and I get the facsimile. Whatever the new facsimile is, that's what. And Usagi Yojimbo.
The fact that they let you back in there after screwing them over by telling the whole books is amazing.
I know. Well, I've been with this company for 30 years.
He's a dumbass, we know.
I used to work for them. I've been shopping, and even though I'm not buying the new books, I was dropping $100 to $200 on the warehouse sales every week to sell comics. What
if he makes it a rule that if you don't pay within 3 weeks, the books go into distribution?
Have fun. That would help me out so much.
Actually, if I was a comic book shopper and I pulled books for you after about, I give you about a week after, or 2 weeks, grace period.
2 weeks.
And then
2 weeks would be fair.
But if you don't start, if it becomes a habit, I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, 2 weeks. I absolutely agree with that. By the way,
that's like the option here. Oh yeah, I want this book here, but I'll come and get it next week.
Dramagate is modern. I don't know what CF typo gnomes. Let's see. Hashtag Move the Needle daily, because we just not support the comics they wanted us to support. That is the truth.
Hashtag,
That is
sounds like a drug thing.
Hey, Maranya, basically there is the cancel pig side and everyone else is grouped into the other side, which isn't that like a very common saying? You know, I mentioned this before in another live stream too. Gee, I'm repeating myself. If you cannot find the crazy person on the bus, it is you. The comic book creators, the writers, the artists are now fighting both the fans and the comic shop owners. Who are they really thinking they are right now? This Heidi
aristocrats. They basically view themselves as the valid people, as aristocrats, as the intelligentsia in the room. That's why everyone else is invalid and wrong, because they think they're the ones who have the one true valid opinion.
Oh, and somebody here is also saying Heidi is being incredibly disingenuous. Firstly, Glenn, the person she's referring to,
of course she is.
Many hours spanning several years doing
that's her stock and trade. She was a leading contributor to the Whisper campaign. She has, as Zach says, she is the most corrupt person in comics journalism.
And Cancel Pigs is trending on Twitter now, by the way.
Yeah. I think the important part right now is, while it's fun to wallow in the past, it's how do you move forward with this? Because it's an opportunity, because a genuine, nice person who also is arguably the biggest comic book person out there right now, Mark Millar, certainly known to normal comic book fans that haven't been involved in the Comicsgate drama or the Whisper campaign stuff, are seeing this for the first time because it's Mark Millar. I mean, you know, right or wrong, yeah.
But there's a reason why
we've been dealing this for years.
Let him finish.
This is, you know, this is where, if you want to call it mainstream, this is as close to mainstream as it gets, with, you know, Mr. you know, guy who has Netflix deals and has just put out a huge book, and
Mr. Walking Dead.
But here he's
seeing this.
Here he's saying some genuine career advice for wannabe cancel pigs. A huge part of freelance life is your peers, editors wanting to work with you. Everyone just wants to enjoy their job and have fun. If you're toxic, nobody wants to touch you. And many of you are in this place right now. Man, I was trying to get an image like this. It didn't work out. I was AIing the fuck out of that thing, man. Kudos to Mark Miller for coining the cancel pig phrase. They've been squealing for days. No. They've been squealing for 8 fucking years.
Yeah, but
the only thing that's new is the term, and that's
they had kind of quieted down over the last several months, especially as the dire nature of, and again, this is one thing that just kind of really annoyed me and got me involved in a couple of X feuds today, is, you know, the focus here is on US floppy comic book sales or superhero books. You know, whereas these two idiots that I was arguing with on X were trying to, you know, fold in the graphic novels and the
Stolen
manga
Valor,
and the Dogman and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And then of course saying, oh, well, indies are doing it. Well, it's like, well, that's not the point. That's not, you know, again, how many times do you have to say it? The reason why DC and Marvel are important is because they're the ones that keep the lights on. They're the ones, as I gave the example, when I was in my formative comic book years, and I was in my teens and my 20s, I would be going into the comic book shops to get the latest X-Men, to get the latest Legionnaires. But guess what? I'd be walking out with a stack of, you know, books from, you know, Heroic Comics. That was where I discovered my love for Femforce and, you know, whatever Image book was out there and any other indies.
And
you
broaden,
can't do that if DC and Marvel are failing.
To broaden your point, to broaden your point, not just DC and Marvel, but the superhero genre in general. You know, we can wax lyrical about bande dessinée and manga, and I'm happy for bande dessinée and manga, but in America, in the land of the good old red, white, and blue, the main genre that comic books are founded upon, and that all the others, be it horror, be it fantasy, be it action adventure, all those other ones are enfolded into and branch out from the superhero genre, and that is simply the truth.
Here we have,
and more importantly too, that it
Sorry.
needs to be understated. It can't be understated. The superhero comics are as close to the American mythology as anything else.
That trends into Jungian territory that I hate. But
okay, I want to bring this up because I have not gone on to Renfamous's page. It seems like she's enjoying this renaissance almost as much as I am. It says,
she's relevant again.
Hold on. Hold on.
That Avatar's always made me laugh because she's about 300 pounds. So,
all right, now let me speak.
Pointed out to Mark Millar that some of his recent commentary has resulted in a wave of virulent misogyny and hate speech from his fans, and this was his response. I got to tell you, this is like every election when the Democrats would go, but they're racist. Your lives have not been good, and if you vote for us, it will be good. And every 4 fucking years they do the same thing. Now it's up to
that
you.
last cycle, it didn't work.
It's up to you to listen to her because basically she's saying the same fucking thing that she said. And it's okay. Point to the very virulent misogyny and hate speech. Point to it. Don't just, oh my gosh, they're vague.
It's happening.
Vague comment.
Yeah.
And all that.
But see, though, that's when you get dragged into the mud. I mean, this is cancel pig #1 as far as I'm concerned. Cancel whale.
Horrible.
And that's a perfect example of the disingenuous nonsense that they put out there. And of course, they'll play it as like the famous Groucho Marx. So when did you stop beating your wife?
Yep.
Well, here's the reason why they don't produce examples, and this is how you know the kind of people we're referring to. The reason why they don't produce examples is because their definition of these words, bigotry, abuse, yada, 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 their definition of these words is so foreign to the actual, in-use definition of these words that the only way they can fit that square peg into that round hole is by broadening the concept so far that literally anything I don't like is harassing me or is bigoted towards me or XYZ.
So Rich said, I am against cancellation and been consistent on that. And people on that list have tried to cancel me. To which Kwanzaa, by the way, you want to talk about all the old folks coming out of the home. How, Rich? Please explain their attempts at your cancellation because nearly everyone in the industry has had beef with your chaotic neutral energy at one point or another. Don't feed these bagged actors, please.
Kwanzaa turning on Rich Johnson is hilarious.
And then Kwanzaa has somebody says going to put this right here. Just going to put this on the main while DC had me lying to some creators to get them working for less than their average page rate. I signed vouchers to high profile writers for $10,000 per issue. You did read that number right. Kwanzaa is what the fuck? Seriously, how do these people get any kind of deal?
This is definitely a let them fight situation because I despise both of these individuals. So why don't we just step back, grab some popcorn, and let them, spar like that one episode of Star Trek, like between Spock and Kirk until they kill each other, please.
I guess Yellow Flash is using his newfound popularity to bring back the blacklisting. You remember that?
Oh God.
If you're looking to take a stand, blacklist these names that Penny Parker has listed. There are some people that have worked hard to destroy the comic book industry, and these are the main cancel. And he's right about that. These are big names on that whole cancel pig list. That being said, yes, it is kind of funny to see Yellow Flash go, ooh, I can do it now. Blacklist.
I wonder if this will ultimately lead to me being accused of getting laid again. Still one of the funniest freaking things that ever happened in my entire YouTube career. He insulted me by accusing me of getting laid.
Yeah,
it was
Yellow
funny.
Flash did a couple of weeks yelling about me, and he called Dalton a cocksucker. Dalton's gay. It's like, okay.
You're accusing me of getting laid, and you think that's an insult. Well,
you do say you work under a bridge.
Your boat, mate.
Yeah, that is true. So Penny mentions that there are two separate conversations going on right now. One, business owner, creators, fans discussing how to improve sales. And two, cancel pigs screaming about the color, skin color, and gender, and are making fake quotes about diversity being evil. That nobody has ever said any of the shit that they said that we said. But okay, so Mark Millar's behavior is not surprising. Old white men defending old white men, blaming the decline of comics on diversity, calling it evil. This, by the way, he's a gay guy as well. It's tired, it's lazy, it's ignorant, it's pushing a negative narrative to get more money towards yourself. Wash, rinse, repeat. Yeah, nobody's talking about that, dude. Go fuck yourself. Same with it's the same thing that what's her name, Renhard, did. It's the fucking same thing, because she was like, they're saying it because they're racist. Oh, shut the fuck up.
Again, it's victory by euphemism. They think that because they called their ideology diversity, they now have the monopoly on all diversity ever. And so you can't separate the concept of diversity from capital D diversity. And so whenever you criticize them, you're ipso facto criticizing diversity.
Jay, what do you have to say? I just read the comments. Go on ahead. You have the floor.
Oh, actually, I have nothing. I'm enjoying the conversation right now.
Really? You're complaining about not getting a word in the comments, but you have no words to say?
That was me.
Well, real quick, I did see that one part about, and you already scrolled up past it, about Rich Johnson saying that he was anti-cancel culture. Isn't he a founding member of the Whisper Network?
Yeah, he's up there.
Yeah.
He's also the guy who wrote an article saying that Vertigo Comics was always SJW back when SJW was the term. So, yeah, no, screw yourself, Rich.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
go on ahead, Rich.
One of the great, the better X's out today pointed out, to Mark Millar, saying, nobody's talking about how you put out one of the most diverse comic books this year. Go read the Ambassadors. And think about all the characters in the Ambassadors, but nobody cared because it was a well-written story. People liked it. It had a good message. It didn't hit you over the head with social justice nonsense, but the main star was Korean, and then you went around, each issue was like going to a different part of the world, and you had the Australian rugby player that was gay. You had the French mother and her son. You had I'm forgetting the one in Africa.
He wasn't gay. Turns out he lied.
Oh, yeah. Well,
by the way,
seriously?
Yeah.
Why did you lie about being gay in this year? You
don't have to lie about being gay now.
No, in the book, because he wanted to get on the team, he figured if he come up a lot, because he was a womanizer. And he basically said, "Oh, the reason I did it because I'm secretly closeted gay." So you use that.
So he did it to get out of trouble,
to get onto the team.
So, go ahead. Sorry.
No, he was trying to. Because the guy was in his wheelchair. He had what you call it, lung cancer, and he was going to die. So this process, him representing, was it the Australia? I think it was.
Yeah, Australia.
Restored his health back to normal. He was a youth. So he's like, so that at the very end of the book, he's like, oh, I'm not gay. I just lied to get on the freaking team.
I do like what Dark Admiral is saying here. Is this some kind of time warp? I've forgotten about most of these clowns. But, like I said, it's all the old folks coming out of the old folks' home.
History is repeating itself in real time, folks.
That kind of does reflect
everything old is new again.
Because DeRosio's talked about, I believe she's talked about how a lot of people in the industry are riding the gay train, claiming to be gay just to get
fucking Brian went out and bought himself a pair of boobs and called himself a transsexual guy who's a lesbian, still dates his girlfriend. He's fucked with this industry, man. I got to tell you, I went from hating mags to really hating mags to kind of respecting mags while I hate him, because he is flat out a straight fucking guy who bought him a pair of tits to make it in this industry.
As the old saying goes, you got to respect the hustle, if nothing else.
I'm a woman, but I like women. No, you're a fucking straight guy with tits, you douche. And it kills me that some of you guys are still calling him she. He's got a dick. He's got a tits. He's got tits. Pick your fucking piece and call him from that. But dude, that guy is running.
I don't mind it because it's small, it's polite, and it's not worth fighting over. So
no, it's worth it. Considering where it is led already, it's fucking worth fighting over.
Yeah. So again, the reason why all the old names have come out of the woodwork is because it's Mark Millar. It's not an old pro who hasn't been doing anything significant in 10 years. It's not.
He's the golden child of the moment.
Not somebody on the fringe. Yes, I mean it's somebody.
It's not Chuck Dixon.
Well, again, when you think about it too, it's also the person that so many of these people want to be because
it's valuable battleground territory.
He's had the successful Netflix deal. You know, he's got the successful comic books. He's got out of his own. Hell, he recently bought a place that looks like a freaking castle. Okay,
yeah,
it's as well. You should.
They dress up in tuxedos for Christmas parties.
Yeah, and so if they can't be him, they want to control him. And so fact that he started to roam off the plantation that he wasn't even on in the first place because he was just out making comics and not paying attention to any of this stuff.
Well, it's like it's like chess. You want the most powerful pieces on the board, and if someone takes, or in this metaphor, your pieces go AWOL, then all of a sudden it's panic mode because they thought he was in their camp until he opened his mouth, and then they realized, wait, that's the most powerful piece on the board right now, and he's not one of ours.
Well, he was talking about today. He was talking about today. He put out a tweet talking about how he has made. He wasn't bragging or anything, but he was talking about how he has made millionaires out of artists just by doing one book or a few pages. I mean, that's crazy. That's
good for him.
Top of the line. Yeah. Well, of course they want him on their side.
Yeah, well, and again, the other thing that they're scared of was there was another tweet that he did either today or yesterday, you know, where he talked about, you know, hey, I spoke to, you know, a longtime DC guy, you know, and basically, you know, the guy was telling him, yeah, I've been scared. And he said, well, you know, it's time to stand up. Don't be scared anymore. That's what they're really afraid of.
Yes,
if there are other people that start standing up and the numbers, and they actually start getting numbers, that's when they finally lose their power.
Never forget, folks, that we're not Never forget, folks, that we're not the ones who came up with the term culture war. They did, and they did because they actually consider it one.
They also named group CG.
Well, I mean, yes, but sometimes it's better to embrace the labels they throw on you, especially when that label isn't inherently screwy. But my point is that they actually do consider it a war for the culture. So they basically view big cultural institutions, big IPs, big, you know, people in culture to be pieces in the chess game. And when they lose a piece as big as Mark Millar on this particular chessboard, they freak the frick out because that means all of a sudden they thought they had him in part of their heavy artillery, and it turns out, nope, he's at least more on our side.
Well, go ahead.
Who's the conservative president? Was that Venezuela? Who just got elected over
Argentina.
So you're seeing little stuff like that, and you're right. You can compare this to comic books. They have control. It's a dictatorship. You buy what they put out, or you don't buy it at all. And when they start seeing there's an alternative, that's when they realize, oh shit!
Because politics and society are downstream from culture, as they say.
It's communism. You don't want somebody to speak out and have a different opinion.
Okay, you guys, you gave me the business for me not picking up my orders, but the truth is not buying new comics for as long as I did and spending only on back issues made me realize how exorbitantly priced new comics are, and I don't want to go back to that. I'm the guy who was defending them more than any of you before before that happened. I'm the easy one. You don't have to work hard to get me to go, oh, yeah, it's a superhero thing. Let me check that out.
Yeah, he's Paula Abdul.
I've had a channel for the past few years talking about comic books.
You don't have to work that hard to convince me that a comic book is cool. I'm sorry. They had to truly double down on this bullshit to make me go, that's it. I'm done.
There's a lot of good books coming out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed that was Marv D. Nope. Yeah, why waste your fucking time? I mean, now, granted, I'll read a bad issue because I could get some views off of it. Sure. I can't tell you the last good Marvel and DC I've actually read. That hasn't been a back issue.
Yeah, I get trades and omnibuses, and I only get back issues when they're like the issues that I really want to collect or that are really special to a given run or whatever.
Probably the best thing I've seen in DC this year.
I just read the Freedom Fighters by Robert Venditti, and I read the 12 from Marvel Comics. I think it was Straczynski who wrote that. That was great, great stuff. I can recommend that. But in all honesty, I just don't. I'm sorry. Let's see. Let me get some of these. Once people say,
your shop know.
Who is truly? It sounds like a wet fart. I swear to God, what's going on?
Yeah, I've heard that too. It's not me.
Okay, everybody's still now. Are you pulling tape or something there, Venkman? I'm hearing.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I've muted myself, but I still heard it though. So
Okay.
I figured if someone's farting, I'm gonna make it take tape noise too.
Right. Okay. Argentina president is a young global leader of world economic okay.
He's also an ANCAP, though, to be fair. So
you have a hope that the industry will be reborn. It will be. I've said this many times. I don't like the term comics are dead, blah, blah, blah. That's not happening. They are changing, and they will change in some way, shape, or form. They're going to still be around, but it's going to be in a way maybe that old farts don't like. And they're physically pushing us away. They don't want us anymore, even though we're the ones with money. They want to create a new audience. But unfortunately, they don't realize how to get that audience. And
that new audience is busy doing other things and or doesn't really exist in the first place.
Austin, if I fart, I'm turning the gain up on my microphone. I'm holding it right to my ass.
Just hit the mute button.
I have no shame. I have no shame. I'm gonna let you guys hear it all in ASMR.
That's what I do. If you ever see my mic go mute and I do this, I'm sorry. I'm one-cheeking it. Let's see. Should have listened to the old man years ago, says Eric, about leaving. Yeah, you did far.
And I'll do you a favor. I'll make sure it's the wet one for you.
How would you fix the current state of the industry? Okay. I am in control of comics. This is how I fix the industry, and this is going to tell you how desperate this is.
Bye, everybody.
If I were to be in control, I would try to go as old school as possible. I would exit everybody. That's just yeah. I'm sorry, Tom King. Yeah, I know you think you're a good writer and you do sell units. Bye. Have a good day. We're going to the freaking cons. Now, I won't fire them first because we need product to go out. But when I go to the cons, I'm going to be auditioning writers and artists the old-fashioned way. I'm going to find somebody who's actually good enough to be in comics. I'm going to bring them in. Everyone who draws, like, I always use this one because it's singularly the worst comic I've read.
Rosmo?
Fire and Ice. Rosmo is a king compared to Fire and Ice. If I'm reading Riley Rosmo and I'm seeing Fire and Ice in the art and that bullshit, Riley Rosmo every fucking day.
I'm going back and I'm bringing back old artists that maybe were kind of alienated, and they make, because a lot of them are still around. They have Instagram channels, and they'd be like, "Hey, because they get people that submit their art to them all the time too."
You might not be able to get a Chuck Dixon or a Mark Millar. Mark Millar maybe because he wants to just to save the industry. But you might be able to get Straczynski and the Simonsons and so forth and so on. There are good artists and writers out there. You can keep the Reyes's and such like that. But then I'm going to need actual editors. I'm going to need people who will say, and I will make those editors create a Bible. I might actually toss a couple of dump trucks full of money over to Mark Waid and Kirk Busiek, because they are freaking comic book encyclopedia.
And not
whether
only,
or not you like them, they are. What
the editors also need to go in there and tell them to cut down on the damn dialogue. Okay, not only are they talking about things that we don't care about, they're just talking too much. There's way too much chit chat.
Soliloquizing.
Let me finish up here, and I'll give it over to you. All I'm saying, like, guys know I've been on a '90s Valiant kick. I just finished John Ostrander's Eternal Warrior Run. He says everything with less. So much little dialogue, but it's all impactful. Tells the story. It's boom, 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 done, and it's great.
And then I would have two names, one for Marvel, one for DC, Shooter and Carlin. Wait, shit, he died recently, didn't he? God damn it.
Well, Shooter's live.
Yeah,
But
he is. Yeah.
honestly,
he's got to go to Marvel and clean shit up.
I would compromise. If they want to have dialogue, cool. You bring back the narrator.
Well, yeah, you need narrative boxes and dialogue, thought bubbles, the whole 9 yards. Dialogue has to actually deal with what's in the book.
Be something that someone would say in universe.
Yeah. I don't mind. I need a guy in a bathtub in a bubble bath talking to his boyfriend for 2 whole pages with Brian Michael Bendis levels of dialogue. That, come on.
Sure.
So something else to add here, whether it's the writer or whether it's the editor, when you start a character's new book, as in a new book that stars an already established character, we have the resources of Wikipedia, we have the resources of Google, we have the resources of trades and omnibuses. Do research on the characters you are tasked with being a sword of, period.
That should go without saying.
Okay, I'm going to continue because it was a question. Sorry. You guys are just going right over. There would be character Bibles. There will be team Bibles. There would be, and by that I mean, of course, bibliographies. That's what Bible's short for anyway. Mm-hmm. And there would be required reading. If you take on a character, you read this. There's no going off core. Eric brought it up in the comments. What in Ma Kent's 80-year history tells you that she goes to a drag show brunch? Seriously, that happened in that shit piece of goddamn.
Well, she's evolved. It's a modern Ma Kent. You just don't get it. It's not for you.
No, you don't evolve in an issue.
Yeah. Well, no, it goes back to, so here's the groundwork you would have to lay. First, before you can even talk about hiring writers or artists, you have to identify what's your core. And so if you're going to fix the industry, you have to start out with the characters that most people know. So in other words, then you're going to have a Peter Parker Spider-Man book. You'll probably have a Miles Morales book because the success of the Spider-Verse movies.
He's big enough to sustain his own thing. Yeah.
You're going to have a Tony Stark Iron Man book. You're going to have a Steve Rogers Captain America book. You're going to have a Bruce Wayne Batman book. You're going to have a Diana Prince Wonder Woman book. Those are going to be kind of your core books. And then that is going to be the basis for your continuity world. I'll argue, I'll give this up. If you wanted to have a Fire and Ice Welcome to Smallville, be my guest. But it's not going to be in continuity. And it's going to be shoved over into this other imprint.
Elseworlds.
Yeah, we're going to specifically make sure that it's walled off from whatever we consider the continuity. And I mean, for Marvel, I'd almost argue if you could, you'd basically flip everything around. All the limited editions, the Peter David Maestros, the David Michelini Venoms and stuff, those come back into continuity. Everything that's current, it gets thrown out of continuity. Lastly, I'll say you've talked about bringing back, big writers. I think the better thing to do is rather than try to hire them to write runs, those are the folks you want to bring on as editors. Mm-hmm. Because again, part of the success of comic books in the 70s and 80s was you had editors that had been or were writing books. They knew what the business was. You bring them on as kind of the lead editor. You bring on some young person underneath them that's going to learn from them and also maybe be, get their chops by writing a backup story, because that's how it used to work too. And then you can go to the indies, you can go to the shows to identify a new generation of writers that are going to be mentored by those editors. That's been the biggest failure with the big two, you cannot convince me there's any mentoring going on right now.
There's reverse mentoring. There's the new, the social justice educated art school graduates reverse educating the old mainstays.
Okay.
Oh, I love VENKMAN being on mute. It's wonderful.
I'm sorry, I had to mute myself because I wanted to swear, because it's either Dalton or LK, and then E's trying to get a word on here. That's why I went in the chat. Evil Black Cat hasn't said a damn word because you guys talk so much.
Go on ahead. Say what you need to, Vank.
No, I was just gonna say Valerie was talking about in the early 2000s when she worked there. She had said that there was no mentoring. But I also want to chime back before about fixing this. You could have narration in the box, but go back to, like, remember you had Batman, Superman. You had Superman's his narrative box,
inner monologues.
Yeah, inner monologues. You had that. You had that for Batman too. This was all back in the John Byrne stuff. Go back to the John Byrne era of Superman. Seriously, go back to that. If we're gonna have Flash comic books, I want Jeremy Adams overseeing that, because this guy knows how to write families, And if you're gonna have, you can have Barry being the single guy. Barry doesn't have kids, cool. But anybody who touches Wally has a psychic test, or as far as do you come from an actual not broken home? Do you know how to write kids? I want you to give me a sample, give me a rough draft, and then if you don't pass it, you're gone. Or if we put on their books. I want.
Do they even do rough drafts anymore?
I don't know,
That's one of the problems.
Yeah,
I want interview.
You can find the rough drafts in your local comic book shop.
If you're going to be working these books, you have to know something about the character. You have to do a rough draft as a part of the interview process. None of this where we just trust you and you write what you want to write your own book. None of that shit. Because there's so many characters that have been retcon, because these people are too lazy or too arrogant to go back and actually read the books. Jeremy Adams came from just writing movies, Lego Batman, or not Lego Batman, but the Lego Flash stuff, and then got a job on Flash. And you saw what he did with the book. I mean, I like Joshua Williamson. I love what he did with bringing back Wally.
I like the Lego Flash. That was a good movie.
But Jeremy Adams is like Mark Millar. He's or like Rob Liefeld. They care about the fans. They care about the characters. They care about putting out quality work. And that's all. That's what I want from comic books.
So also something that happened with Rich, and of course we know where he's coming from. Heidi McDonald again. This woman is a dumb ass. Oh fuck! I lost it. Where'd it go? I thought this was
otherwise known as a modern day journalist, or what we refer to euphemistically as journos, because a distinction actually does need to be made between journos and journalists.
Here's what I'll say though: don't just let her off the hook as it's just dumb. No, she knows exactly what she's doing.
She's an ideologue.
Oh yeah,
she's been at this for a long time.
The funniest thing about all of this is that Seagate comics don't even go through the direct market. All these great comics that would have saved comics are sold direct via crowdfunding, to which Rich replies, why didn't I think of that? Just put my books in comic shops through the direct market. What possibly could go wrong? Of course, we know the story with Ethan. Not Ethan. I looked over here and you see this bit, which is funny as hell. But we do know Mark Waid tried to put a stop to diversity in comics, having his comic go through the direct market. I still think
he did try. He succeeded.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. They wonder why we don't go direct market, and then when we try to go the direct market, the ideologues in charge of the market decide, no, you're not a valid human being, and therefore
I think that Richard should not stop trying, in all honesty. Let's see. Aaron Sparrow, watch comic book cancel culture die this week has been glorious. Hopefully the creators that poke their heads out only to delete their tweets will eventually find their backbones and enjoy those who stood against us. Yeah. But I don't know. It's back, kids. Like I said, yay, we're relevant again.
Yeah.
Everything old is new again. History goes around and around and around.
I will say tomorrow's conversation that Mark Millar is going to have with 3 comic shop owners very interesting. I hope they're in different from very different locations, so we get a breadth of perspective.
Yeah.
I also threw out there in a replying to a Mark Millar tweet today that saying, hey, you should talk to Valerie, because that would be an amazing conversation between Mark Millar and Valerie.
Big fear. I said it once before. I'll say it again. We've got new people. I hope he's on the level. I really do. I am punch drunk on this. Ethan came in. He was the comic book pro hero. He took that shit and he turned it into
a crown for him to wear.
Here's the difference, though. Miller doesn't need a platform.
That's true.
To sell his stuff.
That is the one saving grace. But when I saw it today, this all started when I shut the
little PTSD for you.
It really is.
Well, as we were saying, everything old is new again, and history keeps going around in a circle. So those of us that were around the last time it came to this part in the narrative are a little bit skeptical, is all.
And even you also got to throw in Wes and Sparrow, and there have been others that have popped up over the past few years too.
What? Look, Wes from Thinking Critical, you mean?
Yes.
He's basically taken the diversity in comics. What's the other guy? Perch. He's more like Doug Ernst in the way that they approach things.
Sure.
So those people had been in Comicsgate before. Even Wes had been around. He wasn't huge back in the day.
Different people filling the same mantle.
Yeah, they're filling the same roles that were there before. And here I am still at the bottom of the top of the totem pole. I heard the bottom was the most important.
But you're the one that survived the cycle, so
I am. Hey,
that wasn't
that
wasn't your fault though. That was YouTube.
Yeah, I got shadow banned like a.
Wait,
because we can't show the enemy as being reasonable. What will that make us then?
But once again, I hope everything is cool. What time is that show? Do you know?
It should be sometime in the early afternoon or late morning, because that's nighttime for Mark. So
if you guys, I'm going to be with my brother. I told you that my parents got him glasses that fixed his color blindness. He has been seeing shades of dark and different grays for his entire life, and he wants to go see a theme park at Christmas. So me and my brother we're going to have a Brother's Day out. So I'll give Dalton, Venkman, you guys can come here and do a watch party and
do a stream snipe
reaction stream.
Yeah. So absolutely, if you want to do that, I'll give you the keys to the car. Might as well. You guys have a point of view and a comment.
So the funniest thing I saw was somebody is like, "Oh, Mark Millar, he has been irrelevant ever. He hasn't put a book out since Marvel days." I was like,
"What?"
Somebody said that. Somebody said he hasn't
put all the lies that have ever lied.
I saw that this
one
morning.
Could be lying across the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, that was one of the replies on one of his numerous tweets he's done like in the past 14 hours or whatever, probably yesterday. But I laughed, so I laughed out loud to that one. I was like, really? Like you haven't read any Nightclub or Kick-Ass or Ambassadors, any of that stuff. He's Nemesis. These are people who are gonna say, like, I bet you the same people who named Nemesis are the same people who are gonna like say like anything Mark puts out is bad. He's like a Garth Ennis wannabe.
I saw that one today too. Yeah, and Mark's like, "Yeah, aren't we all? We're all Garth Ennis wannabe."
There you go.
Are you kidding me?
Helen said you can tell the difference between writers who love the characters compared to writers who never care about that.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I love Stephen Grant and Garth Ennis Punisher. The rest can suck a dick.
Maranya saying they need to
not a pleasurable way.
without any personal identifiers on the samples, just a number, then hire them on the merit. That's a good idea.
Well,
Yeah.
like,
Identity blind hiring would be a good idea.
Yeah. Sorry, I need to point this out real quick because I just realized the latest attack. The latest attack on Glenn was now maybe his shop's not doing. We found other reasons why his shop's not doing well, and so these little Nazis have gone and scrutinized his website to say, oh, he's still using a website from 2007 and the links don't work, and took pictures of the outside of his shop going, it looks run down, and look at the inside and look how cluttered it is. I mean,
maybe the guy was just being honest.
When I want to go, yeah, that's what an old comic shop looks like. That's what a 30-year-old comic shop's going to look like.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Should he have cleaned it up and gone all modern? Maybe, but guess what? That costs money.
That costs money, and and then he'd have to hire people, and they don't have a lot of overhead.
Yeah. Oh yeah, too. They were also complaining. Look at his hours. The only people he caters to are people that are unemployed because he closes at 6 or whatever. And it's just like, you asses, you complete asses.
It's called having a life.
Thing about running a small business
up there, and that is a very, very rural part of Massachusetts. I don't think he would get a lot of action after 6. If he did, I'm sure he'd keep the store open.
Well, they don't know that mostly because all of these, comic book aristocrats, which I'm keeping as the name to give them, are basically a bunch of silver-spooned trust fund babies who are college brats off of daddy's money.
I don't know.
The very definition of a champagne socialist.
Yeah.
They don't know what the actual working class is like. They only know the working class TM that they were told about in college.
All I know about him is he's a pretty big part of that community. He's had that shop for 30 years. He he has friends that are his customers, and so whatever they want to sit there and label as successful or not, that's their business. But in my point of view, he's been very successful.
Mark looks like a comic shop too.
Right.
What's up, Venk?
I was going to say that Mark actually said something really cool that I shared in the group earlier tonight. He's doing a sequel to Empress, and he's got in that book, which has never been collected. Empress was a book he did, which was part of Big Game. Those characters, he's gonna put them into Dark Horse is gonna put them into an actual trade format, and Dark Horse is awesome when it comes to trades, collecting them. So I'm excited for that, and the fact we're getting a sequel too is like that just made my day, man.
I wish they could redo their omnibuses for Terminator and Predator and all that, or bigger than that, Indiana Jones. Have you tried to buy these off of eBay,
Eric? Those.
So here's the problem with Predator. Since you brought it up, I don't know if you saw the article. So because the Predator license, or Predator was with Fox, and now it's with Marvel. Marvel is doing it was going to be 1,048-page omnibus.
Oh yes, I know where you're
now
going.
Now it's a 996-page omnibus.
Yep.
Because they removed 2 stories out of there because they might be, and I'll use air quotes, problematic. Because one story is from the Civil War era, and another story is from the World War II bad guys with swastikas era.
It's amazing that they feel that way.
Yeah.
I thought it would be right here. Wow, they do a lot of stories in a day, don't they? Wait a second. I must have passed by.
And
I'm looking.
Of course, Marvel's charging the same price.
Yeah.
And there's questions about whether or not retailers that have already ordered it are going to be allowed to cancel the orders now that, it's come out that it's not a true omnibus because it's not complete.
Well, to both your point, LK, and Maranya's point in the comments, remember at all times, people, that these people, again, the comic book aristocrats, think that ideas are more important than reality. So if something doesn't fit the ideal that they have in their heads, then it's doing it wrong. It doesn't matter how real it is.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Venkman, did you have something you wanted to say?
Not anymore. I 20 minutes ago.
How is it that other days you jump right in and you interrupt just as well as anybody else, but today you're not?
I know.
Yeah, do we not know how this works by now? You get your sharp elbows in whenever there's a lull and say what you need to say until someone else does.
Are you okay? I mean, like normally you jump right in.
I want to hear from Evil Black Cat.
Let him play the victim. He wants the role.
Yeah. It's nice to play the Venkman role for a change.
Wait, the Venkman or the victim role? It's the same. Support me. Subscribe to Geek Up Show. No, we're trying to play back to Eric, and then I got talked over, so I just typed it in the chat.
Oh. Okay. Well, if that's the case, sure.
We all know there's no order on this channel. That's why if you're a listener, you're kind of like, my ears.
Like I said, you get your elbows in as soon as there's a lull, because if you don't, someone else will try and fill it, whether it's LK or Eglantine or whomever.
I'm just gonna keep talking, and if you try to interrupt me, I'm just gonna keep talking. I don't.
I've done that a couple of times. Look, yeah, I get it. I get it that yes, when somebody stops talking, everybody's jumping in to jump it. But I will say this, and I'm not going to. I'm not going to name names. I just want to authenticate this information that you could wait until people are done talking to jump in. Just saying. Is that the information needed to be authenticated there, RDV?
I'll just say it's hard to tell when sometimes, because some people they take a breath and then they have 20 more minutes
pause
talking.
and then you wonder is it a pause that is a comma, or is it a pause of I'm done talking, someone else jump in?
If you're on camera, you can at least raise your hand, and then the host can hey, point to you.
If the host was paying attention. I'm trying to find that story that LK was talking about. By the time I'll find it, it's done with. But yeah, Maranya saying these cancel pigs think comic shop should look like Fern Barn from 1980s. Ours look pretty damn good, but I have been into some that look like dumps. Let's see, Silly Venkman, think he could get in a word in edgewise. If only the head. I was really not paying attention. Some people are actually polite and don't interrupt and talk over people. And it's who is he? Ian Gibson.
He was an artist with 2000 AD mostly. So
okay.
Yeah. Al Moore. He did that. Is it Holo or Hamp? I forget what the character he created. He did a co-wrote with Al Moore in the book.
Oh, okay.
He was the artist. 70 years old.
Tom Strong.
Okay.
But
and there we go. But
no,
you say your piece there, Venk.
I was going to say I'm cutting back because lately I just get yelled at for interrupting all the time, so I figured I'd let the people do it for me.
Okay. Glenn doesn't have a rainbow section in the front of his store, so he must be canceled.
No, what we should do is make it awkward and make Jay talk the whole entire time. The new people who don't talk.
You know what? I think Jay has been silent. Usually we last about an hour and a half. We now have 27 minutes, 27 and 30 minutes and 30 seconds. So Jay, it is yours. Go.
The greatest thing about 90s Valiant. And then we're going to start right from the beginning.
Yeah, okay. I'm already falling asleep. I don't know of any group of comics that people care about less than 90s Valiant. And I get it. You just discovered them and everything. But the truth is, nobody cares about Valiant anymore.
I know they don't. I know. They're super cheap to get and there's so many of them because they overproduce their books. But the storytelling, the continuity, everything, the art. I mean, we're talking about top notch all around here.
And they didn't overproduce. Those things were really that popular back in the 90s. Like the first few issues, the early numbers on like Exo, Solar, Rye, those were a bit limited.
What I'm sensing is that some failed YouTuber who runs a comic auction should buy some 90s Valiant comics because he now has a mark.
Big time mark. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll keep an eye out for it. But if I end up getting stuck with 52,000 copies of Exo Manowar,
Halo Jones, thank you. Ballad Halo Jones, that's what it was. Looks really, really good art. Really good art. What I saw. And I can see if I can find that collected somewhere and read it. But oh, Jay, so you're reading around this whole Valiant kick. You've been collecting those Manowars again?
Yeah.
Or Exo Manowar. If I let you on Thursday, you're not gonna be like, here's my collection I just bought today. 1, 2. It's like 50.
It's not gonna be a whole bunch, but yeah, I've got
no,
some coming in
if it's all one title, sure. I mean, I can do that as a separate stream, but I mean, it's like
500 issues later.
I don't have to showcase them on there, man. I was gonna, but I do have some coming in this week. So I was only gonna do like 1 or 2.
You can always do a comic call with me. I did one for LK on Monday night. Well, the stream I can't see. Fine.
Dude, that would be cool. Yeah, we can do
we'll go for 4 hours, but you'll be showing all the books you bought for 4 hours.
Yeah.
So here, can I share something real quick? Because I found the tweet showing the guy's shot.
I don't know. Can you?
Sure.
And so again, from this disingenuous prick.
Eric?
No, I
don't know if they're disingenuous or if they're just. I
love this a-hole's name too, because again, he's another one that going after VENKMAN, but whatever. I remember that. So this guy's going on about the real reason he may be struggling is he uses an Angel Fire website that has broken links and are only open until 6 p.m. throughout the week. And then he follows up, perhaps the reason they're struggling has to do with the outdated storefront and the disorganized and uninviting interior. So,
or maybe he's an actual person who cares more about the substance than the appearance.
So
let's see the uninviting.
Okay. So here's the front of the store.
I would say the front of the store. Looking at that sign, it looks like those old on the side of the freeway, the adult porn stores, adult literature.
Well, I mean, I can tell. I mean, the strip mall, that's your late 70s, early 80s, type strip mall. I mean, God knows, I went to a bunch of these in California. So
I swear these people are allergic to sincerity entirely. They're just allergic to sincerity.
So here's one picture of the inside that somebody took.
I've been this before. No, So it's kind of got that old atmosphere from the 80s stuff. You walk into the thing, you can smell the 30-year-old,
like a 30-year-old comic book store. Yeah.
It reminds me of that movie Comic Book Villains, how the real comic book store was disheveled like this, and the corporate one that was just in it for the money was all organized and
look at those glorious back issues, and everything was well organized.
That's Eric Breen's basement. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh no, it would have more comics in it if it were Eric Breen's basement.
So what are they saying? What are they saying after?
So somebody replies, "Hey, it looks like every comic shop I've ever been to. Do you think comic shops are supposed to look like a Bed Bath & Beyond or Starbucks?" And this guy, pipes up, "Shops I go to are well organized with plenty of space. A comic shop should look more like other retail bookstores and not like your uncle's
You mean
basement."
they're fake hipster shops pandering to you and only those?
Yeah.
You guys saw that tour that I did with the comic shop. Mine is huge, but in that same franchise, there is a comic shop that looks exactly like that. Really?
Yeah. Well,
so my question is,
I'm going to say too that comic shop looks like a comic shop. It's not 50% Magic cards and Funko Pops and another 30% of board games.
And that is not. I've seen actual hole-in-the-wall stores run by 90-year-old ladies, and it is just wall to wall. It's fire hazard stuff. That looks clean. And that looks. I don't have to worry about running into a raccoon when I'm trying to get a book.
And plus, the shop. This isn't a big secret. I mean, these documentaries, these Palace documentaries, have been going on since I think the first one was in 2013, something like that. But they've been going on consistently for a long time now. So it's not like he's been ashamed of it.
Eric, I've seen Frailty. You have a basement.
Again, it's just these people being perpetually allergic to the concept of sincerity and actually living in places rather than it all being a corporatized, organized facade.
So I want to know. So notice that guy complained about this. quickly, and for 2 seconds. That guy complained about that shop, how it looked, but I go to other shops. He didn't name any shops because he knows damn well if the owner cared, I'm like, you're talking shit about other shop owners. Well, fuck you. I don't want you here.
Well,
unless
if they're an actual owner and not just pandering to hipsters.
It's the classic tactic of these bullies that they can't respond to the substance of the article or the interview in this case. They can't respond to his claims. So instead they try to mock him, they try to denigrate him, by going after how he looks. Oh, look at his teeth. I mean, how many comments from assholes like that did you see?
The substance doesn't matter because you're an invalid person, basically.
Yeah, and now going after his shop. Oh, well, it's because you're not running a website. Well, I'm guessing that he's probably not doing internet sales business because he chose not to.
And
you should see his wall books too.
Mark should be more classy, and instead of just calling them cancel pigs, call them assholes, because that's what they are.
There you go.
Yeah,
they're bigots.
Back in the 80s, says Keith Steyer, back in the 80s, I bought my comics from a shop at a flea market. Was glad to have a place to buy them. Was this in Sanford, Florida? I apologize if I may have raked you across the coals a couple of times, but
raked, he said, raked.
Raked, yes, with a P. By the way, no, my shop was in the 90s. By the way, I was just messing around. But there you go. Yeah, so Mags,
here's Ray. He probably only saw the comic book shop on Big Bang Theory. He's never been to a comic book shop.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The guy who he was the big loser, but he had this really nice comic shop.
Yeah, with 10,000.
I mean, I never watched the show. I never watched the show. What do you mean? It sucked. Oh, see, yeah.
The first 3 seasons of it were fine before they changed from a 50-50 split of jokes on nerds versus jokes about, directed at normies versus later seasons was all jokes on nerds.
Sorry. One episode in with the laugh track, I was done. I can't stand the laugh tracks anymore.
You mean like every other sitcom in existence?
That's why I've kind of stopped watching sitcoms.
It all the way through. I watched it all the way through. So, okay.
Take the laugh tracks out of Friends, and they're a bunch of
that's the way all. It's not that show. It's not this show. It's all shows.
No,
because they want to leave. They leave space for the laugh track. So they go, "Hey, joke number 1."
It's the timing.
Really?
Thing.
Here's response.
You know what? Yeah. From now on, I got this from Frugal. We're just gonna do laugh tracks on here.
Okay.
Awesome.
Cool. If any of us ever say something funny, that would be good. The Maranya says the guy insults the shop appearance wants to shop in Hollywood set that is pristine and redressed. Yeah, there you go.
Yes, because hipsters are allergic to sincerity, and they confuse aesthetic unpleasantness with lack of substance.
Now, there is one more, and you can put the laugh track on as soon as I show what's up to talk about now, I guess. But I guess
I can't do the my eyes because I'm in the dorms. Every time England team does the face reveal after the auction, set the laugh track on.
There you go.
Barbarian.
We should talk about this a little bit.
Real quickly, I want to say something. Barbarian. Kung Fu.
Talk about my eyes.
I was thrilled to see all the stuff about Comic Palace. I watched him back from the start, and then he stopped uploading, and I just thought the dude quit filming. So I'm glad to watch it. That's we talked about this. I saw a comment on Extreme Movie Show that I was downloading some stuff, and it was from Mark C. We all know what happened to Mark C. Mark C. died of cancer, but there's a lot of people who drop off on YouTube, so I understand that. So it's always great to see when people pop back up.
Yep.
But
okay.
Space pigs?
Mother trucker? My God, is Miz a face now?
So you have Mags here announcing that and further proving herself a one-trick pony. Mags Visaggio has revealed that he is yet again transed a beloved character. And so it goes on to say Marvel's Dazzler X song Eterna Girl provided this tease into her future writing. Sorry, I meant him. I'm writing one of my all-time favorite IPs for a book dropping next year, and I wish so hard I could tell you It's an incredible, unexpected license. They're letting me break and rebuild. Oh, God. So trans a beloved character, no backsies. Now this is a challenge. This is to get everybody to yell and scream about it right there.
This is gloating.
Oh yeah,
as Mad Max said, that's bait.
Yeah.
Following this announcement, Visaggio was met with not just praise from like-minded identity politicians, but also pushback from audiences unimpressed with yet another transing of an established character. Amber Shade says, or here's a thought, stop changing established characters into something they're not and just create new characters who are trans. As a trans woman, I'm sick of this happening in media. So, okay, Amber Shade's...
They don't want to because they don't care about the actual medium or the substance of a medium. They do it as a cultural power play.
Yeah, and Mag says no, which is, it doesn't matter if the character is big or small. I'm sorry, taking it into something they're not is what is one of the reasons what's wrong with the comic industry today.
If it's not a huge character, like I said, if it's a one-off character, it's never been used, it was used once in a Spider-Man comic and never used again, I have some lenient to that. You know, it said depends.
Yeah,
but if
it's but they won't. They won't do that either because they won't do that either because they need the power of the IP. They need to say, I have taken something that is important to you, and therefore...
I'm just saying that's the only exception I'll ever give to that rule. If you're going to trans a character, but it has to be a character that's has been talked about since 1965. It was used one time as it, and had no name.
So,
well, they don't want to. They want to win the war. That's why it's both hilarious and infuriating to me that they would rather turn 1,000 straight or bisexual characters into, you know, pure gay rather than write gay characters that already exist. They will never write a Hulkling and Wiccan story. They only ever want to take Wolverine or take Iceman and turn them gay because it's a power play.
So Brian here says that haha, oh my God, y'all are being so dramatic. When you see it, you'll realize how zero big deal. Then why do you say it's a major beloved character? Is it a no big deal character? Or is it a major beloved character?
But you see the trick here, Anglantine, is when you think that what we're doing is positive, it's a big positive. But whenever you think what we're doing is negative, then it's too small to get in a tizzy about.
As of writing, no details or clues have been given about either Visaggio or any Western publisher as to what license it may is at the center of the declaration. However, per the writer himself, the IP is not just the gayest in the world, but also famously gay. As noted above, this is far from the first time Visaggio has sought to project their own gender identity upon a licensed character. You have this, of course, in Archie, and then, of course, very famously, Connor Kent was supposed to be.
Well, more recently.
So this is what I'm thinking. It's going to be Connor Kent.
No, I can almost guarantee this is not a Marvel property. This is not a DC property. She says licensed. It is, I mean, my first guess was because she had recently did that Archie nonsense, that it was going to be something with Archie, because it seems like for God knows whatever reason they still like her.
Might be G.I. Joe or something.
No, the other that's Robert Kirkman. Kirkman isn't going to be anywhere near him. The other thing is, it's God, whatever universe or whoever owns the rights, because I know there's a series of 80s cartoons that are kind of coming back in comic book form, because I saw it. Thundercats #1 is coming out in, I guess, would it be February, because I'm doing my December order now. Declan Shelby is doing that. I forget now who the publisher is. But it might be a license from one of those. But it's funny how she's already downplaying it, saying, "Oh, it's going to be a character you don't care about. It's the gayest, whatever." So that in my mind says it's going to be something that people have laughed about before because it's a bunch of guys or whatever.
Snagglepuss.
Or except with Archie, it could be Moose because he's gay in Riverdale.
That's true.
Oh, was he really?
Yep.
Oh, God, seriously, what did Midge say about that?
Well, she got killed off.
Oh,
by the
God.
black hood.
That
Yeah.
is, ugh.
So then it's a trans man then.
And if I
We'll
may
find
beat
out-
them
we'll
at their
find out
own
the
game
moose
for
was
5
female
seconds,
and-
stop turning every gay character into a trans person, because all that does, in actuality, is erase the actual gay identity.
Yeah.
Beating them at their own game for 5 seconds.
But no, they have to latch onto that because otherwise, the less than 1% of the population doesn't have any power.
Oh my gosh! What if like Marvel allowed her to make Namor gay?
Venkman, why must you give them ideas? They're gonna do that now, and I'm gonna blame you.
I mean, he's kind of been. Anybody's reading currently Ryan North Fantastic Four. No one really cares about Fantastic Four anymore, except for Zach.
All the Eternals.
Who?
Could be Eternal guy. Could be a gay character
Yeah,
too as well.
Yep. It'll be something.
Eternally
like that.
gay.
I don't know.
And I thought Chloe Zhao was the worst I was gonna have to deal with on the
Here we
Eternals
go.
for the foreseeable
Here we
future.
go. It's all I know is it's starting again. Cancel Pigs is trending alongside Mark Millar. It looks like we're just, like I said, it looks like we're just starting all over again. So I'm gonna ask you guys, if you find something, if you see a tweet, link it to me at englandteen@gmail.com on Twitter. Put it in the comment section to any of my videos. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. Those of you who tried to get a hold of me through Gmail knows I really don't check my email that much. Put it in a comment, at least to tell me to check my emails or my Twitter or something like that. If you find something that a comic book creator has said, or if you find an interesting interview or an article or something that goes along with this, I certainly appreciate it, and we will go over it.
Are they able to post links in the comment section? They're not without having a wrench.
No, I had to stop that because I was getting so much porn.
Yeah, Dibizzle, I think, has put quite a neat little bow on this.
And
all the gay characters are now trans, and all the straight characters are now gay. That's the end state of this whole rigmarole.
And so, also, as we found out last night at the Archie comic reading we did last night, go check those are fun. Me, Eric, and Trusty are reading those. Midge gets more action than Betty and Veronica. She kept getting kissed by mistletoe. And poor Moose, they trick him. And like Reggie's like, he's got a leaf here. He's got a piece of parsley. He's like, the rule, you can't fight. It's mistletoe. And he just kept making out with Midge for like 3 different comic stories.
That's fun. All right, guys. Thank you for hanging out with us while we ranted. As what was once old is new again. Once again, leave a comment here about any article or something like that, or on any of the videos. I'll see it. And england@gmail.com. I'd like to thank Maranya for being a great timekeeper and holding everything together. And and thank you to Venkman and Dalton, Jay, and LK.
Thank you, Eva Black Cat.
Black Cat.
Womp.
Bum, bum, ba, bow. Read your Twitter now and then, E. Okay, man. Will do. I did see your message. I didn't respond to it. Apologize. All right.
On purpose.
That being said, don't forget to do the clicking and the liking, sharing, get word out about. Maybe I could somehow beat the shadow ban. Man, I would love to just pop right over that 20,000. I was on my way and they were like, yeah, you, that what was his name? The gypsy queer. What was his name?
Carlos Maza.
Carlos Maza.
Oh, I saw that the guy from Border Towns has a new book out.
Oh my gosh, we have to do that one. Yeah, after that, my channel just like yeah. So anywho, I would love to see 20,000 again. So please share this out. And as always, if you don't mind helping out the channel, going over to Ko-Fi, drop $1 in the till. Like, thank everybody who's already done that. To everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching. Have a good night. Oh, I should have said also show up tomorrow night at 10:30.
Actually, 8 p.m. here on Kiki Puppet Show.
Cheers, guys. It begins again.